Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to this community briefing digital version. So this is for people who might not have been able to make our face-to-face community briefings for Growing Colour Together within the Kirklees area. So Growing Colour Together is one of our projects this year on the lead up to our biennial textile festival in 2023, we are going to be looking at two themes of growing and sewing. So growing being one of them, and then thus this project is called Growing Colour Together. So Growing Colour Together is essentially about using plants to create colour or to make a mark on a cloth or a piece of paper, producing colour from things that are grown. And this project has been going since 2019. And in 2019, Growing Colour Together was basically founded by a series of local community artists and local growers who all shared a passion for natural colour and natural dyeing. And since then, it's become a bit of a movement across Kirklees. So it's a bit more than a project. And I would say that the lockdown periods as well have encouraged our communities to think differently about nature more generally, our environment, and craft practices like sewing and growing, and their kind of underpinning their benefits to community well-being. So our ambition on the lead up to this year's festival is to try and turn Kirklees into a natural dye garden. And we've had lots of interest from all of the areas we've done community briefings in last week. And we're hoping that collectively we can work in partnership together and give everybody the opportunity to have a grow and use what's grown to make natural dyes and learn about the environmental implications of chemical dyes and what we buy. So with that, thinking about changing people's habits and changing people's understanding around kind of this way of thinking or producing art. Now, I'm not going to play this video for this one, but this short video on the landing page of Growing Colour Together on the website, you will see that this video just gives you a little taster as to actually what Growing Colour Together is, and an example of a community colour garden that was created at the University of Huddersfield. So moving on, with Woven in Kirklees and this project, we have been funded by Arts Council England this year and Kirklees Council to support the development of Growing Colour Together in three key areas of Kirklees. And those areas are Dewsbury, Kirkburton and Birkby and Fartown, which is why we have been going out to these community areas and founding sort of community hubs that we can work with, working with individuals and groups in each of these areas. There will be opportunities though, however, for people outside this area to get involved with the project. Some of you have already received seed funding, and we may well have other rounds of seed funding coming as well. So obviously it's quite obvious we would like to work with the community, and we see it as an evolving project. We want people to join in with any area that interests them. So if you're interested in growing, if you're interested in creating colour, so it could be one element or both, then this project might interest you. But our general aim is to get communities coming together to grow, plant, create these community gardens, perhaps forage in land that's already there, harvest plant material and use this plant material to make and create artistic outcomes, with the emphasis usually being on natural dyeing, but it can sometimes change into other areas of creativity as well. And with this comes opportunities to debate about the sustainability of this, the kind of undergoing of changing people's habits as well. And Woven and our partners, we want people to be excited by notions of active citizenship, citizen growers, and our makers. And also the individual residents of Kirklees to just take ownership of this programme in any way they like. So to get involved and get growing, as I've said, a colour garden essentially gives eco-friendly natural dye pigments and stains for textiles, yarns, paints and prints. However, your colour garden can be interpreted in lots of different ways. It could be textiles for growing, weaving, sewing, knitting. All processes are welcome as long as it's within the theme of our celebrating heritage and textiles across the Kirklees area, which is what woven in Kirklees is known for. So growing colour together's natural dye gardens can be of any size. You could use a pot in your garden or in your garden if you don't have, or a windowsill. You could be a part of an allotment. You could have a school garden, a community space, any space you see that you would like to use for this project. Now's the time to get started. And if you attended one of our community briefings, we had a range of growing packs for people to take away, which had seeds and some of our growing cards for you to take away with you. However, all this information is included on our website. So if you go onto our website, you can see we've got a range of free resources from colour wheels to information about what to plant when, and a few kind of small tutorials that schools and those can tap into. So sharing a community, sharing an experience and growing a community. So because we want everyone to have a go with this project, there are going to be lots of opportunities for you to get involved with this journey within the community, both online and offline. We would like you all, if you can, to join our Growing Colour Together network if you are interested in this project. The network basically showcases anyone from an artist that's working with natural dyes already, right through to people that are just generally inspired by this project and they wanted to have a go at creating sort of natural colour. So it's just a space that we can share ideas and share what we are interested in about this project. The Growing Colour Together mailing list is also really important that you're all a part of. I will be sending out monthly updates on workshops, projects, free events that you can attend and learning opportunities. So it's really important that you're all signed up to that mailing list so that you're not missed out of any information and the latest events that will be coming up. So there will be things happening in your area to look out for. And we want you all to share what you're doing if possible. If you'd like to, if you're a social media user, you can obviously just use the hashtag Growing Colour Together, and we will use that to be able to see what you've been up to, what you've created and how you've grown this project so we can keep in touch. So as I've mentioned, this year, I think about 10 schools and organisations across Kirklees have already received seed funding to get going with their gardens. So do keep an eye out on our website for another round of seed funding. And this is a great opportunity if you're not based in one of the funded areas that we've been supported with for this year to tap into a bit of funding to get you going with your garden, okay? And you don't have to use it for produce or seeds. You could use that funding to actually get one of our Growing Colour Together artists to come out and actually teach and educate you guys on how natural dyeing or garden processes might work, or getting your allotment started, whatever it is you'd like to try. So alongside this year's programme, we're also going to be having something called a symposium. A symposium is just a fancy word for a day, either online or in person, where we will be holding workshops and talks about the programme and the project. Okay, so one of them will be online in February and the other will be during the Woven in Kirklees Festival, most likely at the University of Huddersfield. So do look out for these events. So as I mentioned, the Arts Council England has supported us with some funding for 3 areas of Kirklees this year. And with this, we're going to be appointing 2 artists to each area. So 2 artists to work with Kirkburton, Birkby and Fartown and Dewsbury communities. These two artists, one of them will be a local artist, so that might be someone that's known within the community, and a non-local artist. And this partnership will allow for creative development and opportunities to happen in each area. They're going to be working with community groups, perhaps schools or individuals within this community area to support them with their colour gardens, lead practical sessions, and work with groups on the run-up to the 2023 festival. And each community area will have the opportunity to have some sort of showcase. So this will be a part of the festival. They might have a community garden showcase. They might have an exhibition of work that they've created. This is yet to be decided between the community groups and their artists. And the showcase will happen during the festival period. And obviously our artists will work in collaboration with the communities together on this. So this opportunity for this to develop. And we're going to support each area with dye equipment, materials and growing equipment to get you and your artists started. So we've identified a range of growing spaces across 3 areas that we've had funding for. So this is in Dewsbury. So we've got the Dewsbury Town Centre planters, the Pentland Road allotments, and some space within Crownest Park. In Birkby and Fartown, we're going to be working with the library, the new library as the base. They've already got a community garden underway and a group there, which we'll be working with to expand this project there. And in Kirkburton, we've had lots of interest across both libraries, have land just outside that they would like to work with potentially on this project, and also some grounds across Cliff House. And there have been a number of new locations outside schools or community areas, community group spaces that people have identified that they would like to use. Now, obviously, our artists can only work with a limited amount of space and groups. So if you would like to get going and you've got a lot of interest, particularly in Kirkburton, there seems to be a lot of interest, then please do feel free to start this process as whenever you feel that you're ready to engage with this project. So when growing season hits, if you've got multiple groups interested, perhaps our artists could come out at different times, but it's happening across multiple areas. Again, it all depends on the area, the interest, and what your community feels you would like, but we will need lots of support from each of the communities in order to get this project going. So what next? As I've said, if you've got a growing space that I've not already said that you would like to be a part of this project, then please let us know. It's good to be able to map where our growing spaces are. We would like to be able to find a way to support either through sending resources via our website, or perhaps working with our Arts Council England funded artists. If it doesn't fall into one of our funded areas, do let us know anyway, because as I've said, you can do anything with this element of this project off your own back. And also there will be other opportunities for seed funding to get involved with to get you started. If you have or you're part of a community group in one of our designated areas and you would really like to be involved with this project, there are lots of mental health and wellbeing benefits to this project. There are lots of opportunities to learn and thrive through this project. So perhaps Growing Colour Together is appropriate for your group. If it's not, don't worry, and you can come as an individual to other events that Woven will be holding. But it would be good to know if you think you have a group that you would really like to work with on this project. And if you would like to volunteer, more generally, we are always looking for volunteers, especially on projects like these, as it does require a lot of hands-on community spirit to get us going with these projects. So do make sure you contact me directly at elnaz@hatchprojects.org.uk. The next thing to just mention is Facebook. If you are a social media user of Facebook, we have a Growing Colour Together group, which we share ideas, articles, podcasts, growing tips inside. And this is just a lovely space that if you're not wanting to be as front-facing, but you'd like to access some of the information that we're sharing, that's absolutely fine. We are going to be holding a series of talks, workshops and learning experiences, as I've said, across the Kirklees area on the run-up to Woven and Kirklees 2023, but also during. So just make sure, as I've said, the best way to find out about this information is to be on our mailing list, because I will send this out monthly and you won't get missed off any information then. And you can sign up to that on our website. So a big thank you for watching the digital version of this. It's much shorter and sweeter. If you did join us in a face-to-face briefing, that's brilliant. It was lovely to meet you. Do follow up with me if you haven't already. And yes, I hope you enjoyed the Growing Colour Together workshops that we had at each of those briefings. I know they were very much appreciated. So the Woven team will be around via email. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact me for this specific project. If you're interested in other areas of woven in Kirklees, I will pass you on to the correct team member. We all work part-time, so it's just good to know that it might take us a day or so just to get back to your email. If you'd like to add to our ideas, obviously this is a digital version of this briefing, so please just pop them in an email and I'll add them to the briefing for the relevant area, if you've got an idea for any of the areas that we've got funded. And yes, if you can come to another session, then of course you can have a cup of tea with us then, and we can talk about the project in more detail. So this is just the start of this project. Although the theme's been going on since 2019, we really are just getting going with this new Arts Council funding. So please feel if you've not already been involved, it doesn't matter. Let's make you a part of the project and move this forward. Okay, thank you. Bye.